So, good morning, everybody. Today I had an interesting idea, thought, well, continuation of thoughts that I thought I might put forward so that Christians in the flat earth movement can understand what's really going on, just in general. And I think it would eliminate a lot of confusion. And I thought about it while I was on the toilet. But, I'm not on the toilet right now. So that's progress. I'm learning. I'm filming the video after. It's AD, after duty. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what BC would be, but I don't think I want to find out. So, what I wanted to talk about first is what's irritating me about the public discourse regarding the Obama administration. I know, shocking. You see, all of these people, especially Republican presidential candidates, it's fucking hilarious, say, well, Obama's not doing the right blah, blah, blah. We need to blah, 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 blah. Rhetoric. And then when they're actually asked to provide substance, well, what would you do? They literally quote the Obama State Department. Okay? They literally list off things that the Obama State Department has been saying that they've been doing for, 6-8 months now. At least. Probably over a year. Come to think about it. Okay? As we gotta lead and strengthen alliances in the Middle East and use our Arab partners in the area and have them take the fight to ISIL. You're quoting Obama. Okay? Oh my God. And FYI, the Iraqis aren't doing business with Russia because Obama's showing weak leadership. The Iraqis are doing business with Russia because the Iraqis have always done business with Russia. Are you fucking kidding me? It's like Louisiana not doing business with Texas. Oh, Louisiana's doing business with Texas? Oh, Bobby Jindal must have done something right. No, they're fucking neighbors, okay? Speaking of which, victory, Bobby Jindal dropped out. Oh, I was just saying something about that. Oh my God. Yes, Bobby Jindal is no longer in the presidential race, leaving, I think, 187 candidates. Isn't that 114 maybe? We got more Republican presidential candidates than Ralph Nader has fucking birthday candles. I mean, like, holy God. They showed, like, after they showed on the news this morning that Bobby Jindal would drop out, they showed, like, the picture. I thought Stephen Colbert was just joking all them fucking people he was. No, all those fucking, like, half the country is running for president on the fucking Republican side. Holy shit. Anyway, moving on. But yeah. Yep. See, the thing is, the only weakness that the Obama administration has, in effect, not displayed, or I guess it's displayed because they haven't actually really proven to have. Okay, they haven't been proven to have any weakness. They've been shown as being weak. The only reason why they've been able to be portrayed as being weak is because of the treacherous, irresponsible, bigotry often, insane, always it seems, rhetoric from the fucking House Republicans especially, and now from some of these Republican presidential candidates. Okay? You know, back when our leaders were responsible, it was okay to differentiate yourself on social policy, but say, I stand with the president, or say, I stand with the president in our country's time of crisis, but I think we can do better on this. Okay. But for them to just be, oh, just insanely, illogically, and irrationally attacking the president. It's not like he got us into the damn wars, It's not like there's actually a thing that they've ever fucking proven that the Obama administration actually did wrong. Not a thing. Oh, yeah, Obama thought they were a varsity team. Yeah, that's back when they were a fucking varsity team. They were. They weren't shit back then. And as I've documented on this channel, it was after that Kadyrov, the Chechen leader, rallied a bunch of fucking troops in Chechnya, a bunch of Muslim troops, said he was going to send them to Ukraine. Then MH17 happened, and then ISIL took Mosul the next day. Okay? And if you disagree with my interpretation of these facts, it is my opinion that you are a blind fucking moron. And there's no hope for you to just see reason and think for yourselves. Okay? He had, and there's video, there's plenty of documentation. Okay? He had 40,000, it looked like, troops, okay, that literally looked like the same fucking people that freed the prisoners in Aleppo. Okay? The tactics used there and in Mosul are Russian-style military tactics. They used almost exclusively Russian weapons before they took ours. And of course, it was RT who made a big fucking deal about it. More than anybody else, at least. And MH17, okay, look it up. Just look up the fucking dates. When did Mosul fall? When did MH17 happen? Okay? And if you haven't put this together already, I would hope it's because you, for some reason, weren't paying attention to the fact that Russia is invading Ukraine. Right now, they invaded Crimea. They've invaded several counties or districts or whatever, states, I guess you'd call them, in Ukraine. Okay? A country which we swore to protect the integrity of, the territorial integrity, the territorial integrity of, when Ukraine agreed to relinquish its nuclear weapons. See, we were told that Ukraine was unstable. It couldn't be trusted with nuclear weapons. So we promised them that we would protect them against invasion from whoever at the time. Whoever might want to come take back their fucking block state. And we said that we would keep what's happening from happening. Okay? But nobody gives a shit. In the past year, over 5,000 Ukrainians have died. And I love France. Okay, I have, a very large percentage of French blood. French and German mostly is my blood. Okay. But how many people change their profile pictures to gold and blue, to yellow and blue? How many stadiums lit up yellow and blue? Well, the fact of the matter is, the propaganda that you call news made you think something. They made you feel something. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with sympathizing with France. Support France. We love France. We are French. Okay? Like, not diminishing that cause. But have a little objectivity, have a little personal responsibility, have a little awareness, and realize that there are people dying to be free on the front line of tyranny in Ukraine. Now, things have been convoluted from everything from Muslim extremists fighting for Ukraine to Nazis taking over fucking Kiev. It's all bullshit. See, there are people who want totalitarian church and state together fascism. Okay? Church is a wing of the state, like the old Holy Roman Empire. Okay? The holier than thou Roman Empire. And those people fight together, whether they're Muslim extremists or, I want to say, Russian Orthodox extremists. Okay, they fight together. They have common cause. The enemy of their enemy is their friend, you know? They see a mutual enemy in Western civilization, where we are nice to gay people and allow, like, you know, fucking freedom and stuff. As opposed to there, where the government basically fucking supplies heroin to subdue certain aspects of the population and religion to the rest. Okay? It's the opiates of the masses used by the government. Okay? And while there are accusations of that occurring here, no. We're just a bunch of morons without a clue. Okay? It's sad, but it's true. The Soviet Union has sent infiltrators into our news media, both print, radio, and television, for almost a century now. Okay? So, now that I've rambled on around to this subject of how clueless we are as a country, okay? See, we don't have secret 1,000-year-old places where information is kept. We don't have secret 1,000-year-old families who pass down tradition of how to maintain conquests. Okay? This is a new country. This is a country of refugees, just like Obama has said. All right? He understands what we are and what we have to do and the image we have to portray to maintain the moral high ground. Okay? He's a real, well, he has real liberal ideals. He's not a liberal. He's a centrist. Okay? And if anybody wants to have the actual right to govern effectively in this country, if anyone wants to have the actual perspective it takes to govern effectively in this country, they have to be a centrist. Okay, and that's what Obama's been since he took office, and what he sounded like to me before he took office. Anyway, so back to my porcelainian inspiration. See, what the moon landing was, and I think it goes without saying. I mean, like, I don't need to prove it. If you still think the moon landing is real, there is only one reason why you would think it's real. It's because you haven't gone back and looked at the evidence objectively. Period. The only people who still think the moon landing is real are people who are effectively la 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 la. All right, that's it. Anybody who's bothered to be like, oh, I guess I should try to be honest with myself. Anybody who's bothered to take that fucking basic intellectual step knows that the moon landing is a propaganda stunt of some sort. Nobody really knows, unless you're subscribed to this channel, you might have already figured it out because I've alluded to it in many cases, but I wanted to make a specific video about the moon landing. And 15 minutes into the video, I'm finally talking about it. And why it happened. Why did we do it? Why, if, as my theory states, Russia tricked us into doing it, what fucking purpose would that have, right? Well, it's very simple. If Dr. Evil, Dracula, of the time, or always seems to kind of been one up there, if they wanted to cause a total breakdown of our social structure, okay, to basically silence the objective, honest people through confusion and give louder voices to the capitulators, to the half-wits and half-assed religion profiteers. The moon landing, or making us compete in space, would serve as the ultimate Trojan horse against Christianity. Now, here's what I mean by that. The Soviet Union made it very clear, A, that religion within the Soviet Union should serve the state, okay, and that Christianity in this country was the source of the nation's strength, especially during the civil rights movement. And a lot of people want to argue, especially pseudo-liberals, the brainwashed, want to argue that our country and the Christians in this country were the ones responsible for racism and slavery. No, the hypocrites were responsible for that. The real Christians in this country were the ones responsible for ending slavery and helping the civil rights movement. Atheism is relatively modern, and atheism takes no credit for the civil rights movement and has no ability to take any credit for the civil rights movement. Just because a few fucking communists came in after the fact and spread their propaganda and bullshit criticizing the American establishment in general, those are called divisionary tactics. All right, that's what makes people feel like they have to be on one side or the other. Okay? Oh, I need another cigarette. All right, so what I was saying, people in this country were subjected to a series of straw man arguments that led them to believe they could choose God or science, that they could choose the Bible or reason. Okay. They forgot that the Bible was founded by thousands of years of tradition of people trying to be the most reasonable they could be. Okay. And they forget that the modern liberal would have no place in this world if it wasn't for the powerful impact on history, the shape changing of Christianity, of Judeo Christian faith, on history, on culture, on society, on civilization as a whole. Okay? And people were told, in many ways before the moon landing, that things like evolution were real. They were, before the moon landing, popular media was going against what you would hear in church on Sundays. Okay? Popular media was trying to tell us about evolution and the Galapagos Islands and Darwinism and the planets and how they revolve around the sun and all this sci-fi stuff about, aliens and everything. And that was contrary to what the Bible said. You got to realize that up until the 1850s, people still thought, en masse, a lot of people still thought that the earth was flat. Okay? Knew that the earth was flat. And they had navigational solutions. They had complete understanding at the level that we think we understand the globe. Okay? About weather patterns, air currents, ocean currents, everything. Okay? All mapped out. Perfectly fine on the flat earth. Then the TV came along. TV said it was a ball. Not everyone on the TV said it was a ball, but it was kind of started to be a joke because we were showed so many ways that it was proven to be a ball. We were shown satellites. We were shown Sputnik. Oh, once we saw Sputnik, oh, fuck. Well, we got to stop listening to this crazy book and start getting real about our security. Sputnik is probably one of the most horrible cartoons I've ever seen. That's about all I give it credit for. Sputnik seemed to change size depending on when and where they were photographing. So, why the space race? Why false Jews infiltrating the media? It's all the same thing. It's all one big Trojan horse to make you stop standing up for what you believe in. And ultimately, what it has allowed is the pseudo-intellectual argument to be made that all religions are the same. See these right-wingers? Those are Christians, and they're just the same as the fucking Muslims. The Muslim extremists. Oh, but while people are so busy saying that all Muslims aren't bad, how often do you hear those people bother to point out the good Christians in the midst of their general religion bashing? You see, the moon landing is the ultimate weapon to give credence to every anti-Christian, every Satanist argument ever made. And by convincing the United States government that it had no choice but to build the morale of its populace, to keep the economic engine going, and above all else, to make the Russians think that we were capable of being a military match for them. We called one of these false Jews. All the flat earthers know who he is. And we had him make a movie about a moon landing. Filmed right there in Apollo Valley, Hawaii. And enhanced with what had been being worked on for 10 years at this point. The world's largest computer at the time, generating a 3D grayscale computer graphics image of a bitmapped lunar surface. And for the background, okay, and there is background. There's two different ways this computer was used. Okay, one for the backdrop. Okay, and that's the Apollo Valley, distinct Apollo Valley, Hawaii terrain feature that you see. And the other was for the actual rotating moon. Okay, and you can see what a graphics moon looks like if you just, watch Dark Sky Watcher or any of these other fucking people who claim to have the moon hologram lapse thing, the little thing where the wave goes down the moon. That's because that's not real. The thing that you're looking at is not the same thing that's in the sky. See, if you were looking at the moon with a fucking telescope in the sky, you would see the bending of light by all the air molecules between us and the moon. Okay? And if anyone has a fucking telescope, go outside right now. Point it at the fucking moon, and you'll see, oh, the moon kind of waves around like this, like it's a fucking distant object in the atmosphere. And that's, heliocentric model, fucking flat earth model. Regardless, there's atmosphere between the... That didn't look right at all, did it? There's atmosphere between you and the moon. Yeah. Cross my heart, hope to die. Stick a dildo in. Never mind. Moving on. So, my lunar landing video getting a little bit popular now. If you look at the backdrop, okay, just picture their little fucking model. That's obviously a model, okay. That behind you is a green screen type projection of what this computer graphics simulation produced. Okay? And you can see the lag. Okay? You can see the frequency rate, the refresh rate of this graphics adapter on the analog video. Okay? No matter how high def you find, okay, you will see the graphics. When objects pass, they go. They don't just go. See, this is a low bit rate camera, so I'm actually getting a little bit of that. But if you look at just every single little crater on the, when you see graphics lag, that is made by a graphic processor. Okay? Period. Oh. Speaking of things that you can only deny if you're a hapless wit moron, um, let's talk about title locking, shall we? You see, all of the objects that have been allegedly title locked in our solar system, for instance, are not visually documented. And I'm talking about things like the planets Mercury and Pluto. I don't think they even fucking exist. You see, to me, if something was not photographed before the advent of the technology required to hoax it, then it probably doesn't fucking exist. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. But I tried really hard to find actual photos of Pluto and Mercury. Nope. Nothing but CGI. Not one actual photo of Pluto or Mercury. I mean, they actually tell you the only time you can see Mercury is when it passes in front of the sun. But you can't look at it. We had to get the Hubble with a special lens to take this one photograph that looks like something ID Software came up with. If you're not familiar with ID Software, they're the original company who made like Wolfenstein and Doom and 3D graphics first-person shooters. Okay, and they came up with the lava surface texturing program. Okay. That all sun images seem to mimic, coincidentally. So, convince the United States government we need to fake them. We need to beat them. And if we can't beat them, we need to make them think we beat them. Okay? You can't demonize the United States for that. Just like you can't demonize the United States for what hypocrites did. Just like you can't demonize Christianity for what hypocrites did or have done. Still continue to do. Because Dracula's objective in convincing us to win this morale war, the ultimate Trojan horse against the backbone of our greatest strength as a nation, the compassionate conservative. Because there is no higher moral ground to be on. I'm not talking about holier than thou bullshit. I'm talking about literally, objectively. There is no better, more, I don't know, heroically mentality, no more honorable state of mind, no more faithful person, no more trustworthy person than a true compassionate conservative. No one can argue against them. No one can argue against a true Christian. And if you can be argued against, you need to get right with God because you've been misled somewhere. The Bible has no contradictions. It's interpretations. But see, what Muslim clerics and what heliocentric documentaries who, by the way, say that, Muslims discovered most of what we know about the stars and astrology. Muslims, a lot of them sit there and try to say that they are flat earthers. I don't know how much sense that makes. But the fact of the matter is, no, it was the Greeks. It was in Europe. Pretty much every modern thing came from Europe. Period. The level of plagiarism and propaganda concerning every aspect of our ability to win an argument, of Christians' ability to win an argument about being intellectual, about being civilized, about being good people. All of these propagandized half truths and lies were put here on purpose. These aren't just accidental facts that came bubbling up to the surface for no fucking reason and they just happened to be annoying. These were plans that were thought out by our enemies as a nation to divide us as people. And even if you're not a Christian, you should be concerned about this, because you should know damn good and well it's those good Christians who are going to be the ones defending you if we ever got in trouble. And I say this because guess what? It always has been. And by keeping the holiest among us, by keeping the strongest among us from sounding like sane people, that Trojan horse has gutted us. They've completely eviscerated us. My uncle, Dr. Henry Morris, Sr., okay? My grandfather's brother. He lost the argument that basically decided whether or not creationism would be taught alongside man from monkey. And he lost this argument. Not because he's a capitulator, because he was a patriot. And because of one thing made to neuter patriots: the moon landing. That's it. That's the truth. We conceded a lack of spirituality to this reality. We conceded absolute physicality to this reality. We allowed them to kick God out of our lives. And the reason why I say not a patriot, not a capitulator, but a patriot, is because it was a good plan. It was a Trojan horse. Okay. Because in order to argue at this point that the Jews knew the difference between a sphere and a circle, you had to argue that our government was a bunch of liars and crooks and thieves. You would be anti-patriotic. Because the fact of the matter is, the people who convinced themselves that undertaking the moon landing was a good idea, who weren't these Satanist infiltrators, were convinced to do so on patriotic principles, on economic and survival-based principles. thought they were doing a good thing because they already thought the Earth was round. You think Russia let them know otherwise? They didn't have a fucking Antarctic fleet at that point. We had no idea. We had no idea what we were doing other than to survive and defend freedom. Okay? And when it all comes down to it, if you're not looking at it from the perspective that I'm presenting here, which at that time nobody really was, okay, it seems harmless. It seems like the right thing to do from their perspective. Okay? That's why it was a Trojan horse. Oh, look at the little horsey. Let's take it in and put it on TV and make our pride as a nation depend on this. Because anything that we've said that we should be able to do, we landed on the moon. We should. That's just tragic. That's all for today. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already.